Chair recognizes young lady from Tennessee, Ms. Harshbarger, for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I thank the witnesses for being here today. I'm going to read a statement. This is for all the witnesses. Late last month, Forbes and other press reported that TikTok's parent company, ByteDance, planned to use TikTok to monitor the physical location of specific Americans for the purposes of surveilling individual U.S. citizens. And as you know, TikTok is close to signing a CFIUS contract, and the Treasury Department's been assessing the national security risk of the foreign ownership of TikTok, including its CCP ties, and whether the platform enables the Chinese government to access U.S. persons' data. The first question is a yes or no. It's, do you assess that TikTok is a significant national security threat given the accusations that the company specifically targets U.S. persons, and given the ByteDance and TikTok ties to the CCP? And the second part of that question is yes or no. Is the CCP leveraging the application as a tool to collect information about U.S. citizens for purposes other than targeted ads and content? Anyone on the panel?
Congresswoman, taking the first question, I would say we do have national security concerns, at least from the FBI's end, about TikTok. They include the possibility that the Chinese government could use it to control data collection on millions of users, or control the recommendation algorithm, which could be used for influence operations if they so chose, or to control software on millions of devices, which gives the opportunity to potentially technically compromise personal devices. So there's a number of concerns there. As to what is actually happening and actually being done, that's probably something that would be better addressed in a closed classified setting, and I could see what information we might be able to share that way, but there's probably not much more than I could add to that, other than to say it is certainly something that's on our radar, and we share your concerns.
Yes, thank you for that, and I'd love to have that closed briefing. Has ByteDance responded to allegations that their internal auditing system specifically targeted any members of the U.S. government, activists, public figures, or journalists, yes or no?
I'll have to see if we can get back to you on that. I'm not sure that I can give the answer right here at this moment.
Okay. Are you informing the Treasury's view through the CFIUS process of the national security threat it poses?
I'm sorry, ma'am. Could you repeat the question? I just couldn't hear you very well.
Are you informing Treasury's view through the CFIUS process of the national security threat it poses to the United States?
Yes, the FBI's Foreign Investment Unit, working through the Department of Justice, is part of the CFIUS process and would be relevant. Our input would be taken into account in any agreements that might be made to address the issue.
Okay, last part of that question is, what is currently being done to investigate the CCP's involvement in TikTok ownership, direction, and or access? And the reason I asked that is there was a current 60-minute segment highlighting the stark differences between the Chinese-owned TikTok company that allows kids in China to view a totally different app, a clean app, and what is shown in the U.S., they call it an opium version, that is designed to hook American children on an unsafe version of the video-based platform, and offering a healthier version and a limited viewing of 40 minutes for those children in China, which is unacceptable, and parents need to know this. But what's currently being done to investigate the CCP's involvement in TikTok?
Well, as to any specific investigative work, I could see whether some of that could be incorporated into the classified briefing I referred to. There's obviously limits on what I can share in terms of discussing a specific ongoing investigation. But what I would say is that you've highlighted two very, very important threats. One, of course, something we're all concerned about, which is the threat to our youth online. But the second is the threat specifically from the Chinese government and the Chinese Communist Party, and the ways in which their laws are used as an aggressive weapon against companies, both U.S. companies and Chinese companies. Under Chinese law, Chinese companies are required to essentially, and I'm going to shorthand here, basically do whatever the Chinese government wants them to in terms of sharing information or serving as a tool of the Chinese government. And so that's plenty of reason by itself to be extremely concerned.
Absolutely. Well, I look forward to the classified briefing, and I appreciate your time. And with that, Chairman, I yield back.
The gentlewoman yields back. The chair now recognizes the gentleman from California, Mr. Swalwell.